Good evening, everybody. We're going to start our Benton City Council workshop and special council meeting. This is September 11th, 2023, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. Would y'all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Mr. Hyde, would you do the honors?
I will. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Carla, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Wadsworth,
Excused by phone.
Councilman Sindretto, Councilman Reed,
Present.
Councilwoman Funk,
Here.
Councilwoman Alcazar.
Here. I make a motion to approve David Sandretto. I second that.
All in favor?
Funk, aye.
Alcazar, aye.
Reed, aye. Can I throw a motion for Councilperson Wadsworth?
Well,
I'll second that.
You might have to first it.
I'll make first, yeah, let me, yeah. I also make a motion to excuse Councilperson Wadsworth.
And I second that.
All in favor?
Funk, aye.
Alcazar, aye.
Reed, aye.
I'm used to always being last, not giving you a chance to say anything.
On to our consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Funk, aye.
Alcazar, aye.
Reed, aye. Approval of tonight's agenda. Discussion. I would like to add an item for discussion, continuation of special meetings. And that would be under H4.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as amended as proposed.
I second that.
All in favor?
Funk, aye.
Alcazar, aye.
Reed, aye. Visitor comments. Do we have any visitor comments? Please limit those comments to 3 minutes. Hearing none. You ready to move in? I apologize for the interruption. Mayor Lehman is present.
Thank you. Sorry I'm late, everyone. I apologize. Busy day. Okay, so where are we?
Regular reports. There are none.
Reports.
And we have added H4, item for discussion.
Okay. All right, are there any other items for H4? Oh, no, you mean H3 or?
No, we could start with H1,
Oh,
items for discussion.
oh, okay. All right. The first item is task order 2023-12, City Hall asbestos abatement.
so I guess I'm not sure who's leading this discussion, but we did have a task order in front of you guys at the last council meeting. And I think it was tabled so we could have additional discussion on it. So I guess to remind everybody that the task order was for the abatement and demolition at the old city hall on 9th Street. And with that, we actually did have, I know, at the meeting, it was discussed whether or not we had the architect doing some kind of a little bit of revision to the existing plan that was done, in, I believe, 2018, 2019. So there were some revisions to those plans. And then also drawing up the abatement and demolition plan. So that was our task order that we brought forward, and then I don't know, it seems like there was some want or need for discussion after that.
Sarah, you had a couple of questions on that. Would you like to lead out?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that if we were spending the money, it included everything. So does that mean that it needs to be revised above the 39,000 so we can get the appropriate coverage that's needed, so we're able to have all the costing?
So you're saying putting together cost estimate for I guess additional work to City Hall?
No, so my question around the architect plans is because when we had this discussion around next steps in the April minutes, I don't recall the meeting and I don't have it in front of me. It was minuted that for a complete price estimate to be put together to understand the full cost of the project, including, furniture, not just asbestos abatement, to just have the full costing, understand what's really going to cost in one spot. What is the number that we're working towards? The only way that estimate could be completed by Spink Engineering, it says in the minutes, is to have the updated architecture plans. And we paused that. We didn't approve that work at that time because we were waiting to understand if we'd got the award. And now we have this award. So I just want to, it didn't look like your proposal included those architecture plans. And I just want to make sure that if we're going to start the work, we're going to get all of the work completed to understand the full project cost of of a move to City Hall.
Of a remodel of City Hall, of the old City Hall?
Yeah. Because based on the award and review from someone, and maybe Dan, you're the one who wants to jump in on your legal opinion. Part of the reason we requested the review is because we want to understand if we move forward with the asbestos abatement, what is the city required to do? It sounds like the city's required to hold the property for at least 10 years. It'd be helpful if someone else can comment on that. And so we don't understand what the cost is that the city would need to occur. I don't understand it beyond the money that'll be awarded for asbestos.
Right.
And I understood we needed more plans from the architect to be able to get that number.
Correct. And those plans would be part of the work for that 39,000.
But not done by an architecture, then it'll be done by Spink Engineering. Is that right, Alan?
No, it would be done by the architect that had completed the work previously. So
Okay.
Tate Architect would do the revision of the plans and then also provide us the demo and abatement plan.
The demo and abatement plan, but
Yeah,
not the cost to move into the facility, not what it would take for us to have that space conditioned and ready to move in, which is incremental. Is that correct?
We wouldn't have the cost estimate. We would have the plans for that. I guess trying to decipher what exactly. So
after we have the plans, we can finish getting the cost estimates. But the plans will include all the pieces that we need. I just want to understand the cost. There is a cost the city will incur beyond what it's been awarded, and it's not clear to me what that is.
Right. Okay,
Maybe I can jump in here. It's my understanding that both plans that Debbie Tate was going to do are included in the 39,000, as we mentioned last time. And that once we have the plans, we can actually go out for bids. We can't bid the electrical and the HVAC without the plans, as I stated previously.
And now we have the information since our last meeting that
This cost.
we'll need to
is
occupy and hold
included.
the space for 10 years.
Yes, that's,
There's some language that may indicate that if we moved out early for some reason, then we would have an obligation to take those funds that were used and apply them to something else that qualified. Now, I'm not positive that that always comes into play because there's a bunch of ifs and possibilities. Does this apply? Does that apply?
right, and that's our understanding too, and Nathan probably knows a little bit better than I, but it's our understanding that if we didn't use it on the existing city hall, we could apply it to like a purchase of a building to be used for the same purpose. And if we did use it for the abatement process, that if it was sold at some time in the future, like Dan's saying, that money would turn around and be used in
For a qualified purpose.
yes.
This is Nathan. Can you hear me okay?
yes,
Thank you. Yeah, just to add to that, so I did speak to our grant specialist regarding the building. The grant wording states that we must maintain the building for 10 years after the project has been completed. So if we anticipate the abatement and demolition to be completed, say in 2024 or even into 2025, then that's when that clock starts. The other verbiage in the grant manual states that there is a possibility you can sell the building and then take those funds and purchase a new building to replace it for the same use. I spoke directly to our specialist and asked, okay, would we be able to take those funds and put them towards a long-term lease? If, this would be up to council, but if council wanted to stay where we are now, could we put that money towards just a long-term lease for that or a different facility? Or could we actually take those funds and put them towards building another building? She was not able to give me an answer to that right away. She said that needed to go to the Attorney General's office for their legal review. So I did submit that question in writing, and I expect to have an answer within the next 3 weeks, whether funds could be used for, again, a long-term lease or turn it around to build a replacement building.
With that, have we historically had any kind of other concept or ideas on city facilities in lieu of this particular building? Building our
Well-
own, finding another building.
Yeah, we did do a study with a cost estimate with the I believe it was Arculus Architects, and the person on that was the same person who designed the library, and it was looking at putting in a city hall on that property adjacent to the library. And we do have studies and layouts of that.
I think with a large cost of this, I think options would definitely be idealistic.
I would like to add on that. There was a design that was done in 2003, right? And then and that was 2 stories. It had like a gymnasium on the bottom floor, and it had I think it had a total of like 8 offices, which included the sheriff on the upper floor. And sometime around 2011, the bottom floor got dropped off of that, and so they went with just the top floor. So my recommendation is, since it is so old, and here we are 20 years later, I think we need to look towards the next 20 years in any design. Because we can get the same number of people in the old city hall. There's 4 offices over there, one of which is a conference room, and one in the basement. There's 5 offices. Lunchroom. And there's the whole middle section is a big, I forget the name, you call them bullpen,
right.
for staff to fit in over there. So at least as a temporary measure, it makes sense. We've been paying rent here, and we got an estimate on the rent for 2,000 square feet at the end of the building, and that would be starting at $25.50 a month. So that's 25,000 a year.
May I ask if the council would be interested in a scaled down remodel of the old city hall building? Possibly leaving it more of an open floor plan where cubicles could be put in. I understand that there is a need for some space there for some staff, and also from my understanding, space for storage. But I believe that if we did scale down the floor plan and looked at more of an open concept with again just cubicles, things of that nature, that those costs could probably be reduced, and it could meet needs for the immediate future.
I guess my opinion is, and the mayor just said it, we're looking at a building for the next 20 years. With a growing city and the space inhibition that we have now, is that building going to be big enough for that growth we're looking at? And, you know, I've been in it, and I would say no. The other question is what are we going to do with City Hall if we move the current City Hall staff that we currently have? Where are we going to put them if we use that specifically for a public works building? Which I'm not too keen on that being a public works building, being on the main street. I think public works needs to be off the main street and have the administration on the main street where people can come in and pay their bills and everything else. I don't think people coming into the old city hall, you know, on a daily basis to chit chat about what's going on in the city, what projects the guys got going on, or whatever the case may be. I kind of don't see that a best practice facility for public works, and that's my concern.
We do have issues with having the main building over there because we have a lot more traffic, and people have trouble parking over there and getting in and out safely, especially people with wheelchairs. So that's why I was thinking if we put public works there, we could have our planner over there and have a private discussion room where they can lay out plans, and we have fewer people coming in for planning and leave City Hall here.
What about parking for city vehicles? City-owned
There's 4 in
vehicles.
the back, and then there's street parking.
Plus the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
Plus anybody going over for records keeping.
How many city vehicles do we have?
We have a lot of them down at the shop.
Only 6 or 7 that are used.
So
daily.
I think,
Okay,
what do we have,
so-
6, 5, or 6 trucks? But they shouldn't all be there at once. Hopefully not during the day.
Well, I'm thinking during evening time and weekends, when we have special events, if we're expecting to use the street parking, like when we do the parades, there's no street parking allowed. So where do we put the vehicles during that time?
At the shop
And
where they are now, I guess. There's a parking
But
lot
it-
over there.
But if that's the case, would it be more feasible to build something at the Public Works area where Public Works is already committed with their work area, having an office building down there for just Public Works?
that makes sense to me. And then,
If people can get in, okay. I know it's locked most of the time.
No, I'm talking about for our workers. I mean, the general public's not gonna go to the sewer treatment plant.
I was gonna say.
I mean, they might sneak down to try and kidnap their dog back, but
When I went down there, I
yes,
saw
that has
signs.
happened.
When I went down there, I saw signs that said no trespassing, and I was quite surprised to find out that people from the public actually went there. I mean, I was hesitant to go because of the no trespassing. I thought, well, I think I'll be forgiven. To me, it makes sense to have offices there, and then they could have a nice little lunchroom eating area there. They've already got the restrooms and the electricity. At one of my other jobs, we just had a trailer that had electricity and it works great. We had two offices on the end and a lunchroom in the middle, and it worked out for us out there at the reactor. So I was thinking that makes sense.
Was that temporary or permanent?
It's set up, it could be removed, but it's been there for a very long time.
So we currently have one restroom down there at the Public Works facility. We would probably, if we're hiring more staff in Public Works over the years, we'd probably need more. We're gonna need a lunch area,
Mhm.
That building isn't insulated.
and the building's not insulated, so we would have to either add on an insulated section or build a separate office building, so to speak, down there for that.
I like. So the trailer that I'm thinking of, it's just a trailer out at the site,
Yeah.
and it's insulated because they're out there in the winter time, and it's air conditioned in the summer, and
So
they
then
had other restrooms set up.
people would still come here to do all of their meetings then?
Well, what kind of meetings are taking place?
All the
at
public
maintenance?
works meetings, they meet with people, they meet with the planner, and we really don't have a nice place to lay out anything except in the back room there. That's one reason I think it would be nice to have a separate place where people could come in.
So what
Yeah.
about this space during the week, during like the business day? Does this space get used, or does it? Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
Planning uses it,
okay.
maintenance, yeah.
That's what-
they use
okay.
it.
Yeah, but it's not like you can lay out all your drawings and talk to people easily here. And we're also probably may have to be looking at hiring some people. I'm at a loss for words here. To help out Wade and Jenny, which that discussion will be sometime in soon with the union.
Hope so.
This is Josh. Can I talk for a second?
Sure.
So I had a question just about the grant. The grant we can only use for the design and the removal of asbestos, is right, as well as the demolition. So looking into that aspect, we can't use it for anything else. It does come with a 10-year basically lock that says, hey, if you sell this building, you got to use the funds for something similar. What is the downside of going in there, performing the demo and getting the building prepped for either sale or for bids to be moved into? Is there a downside?
I think that's the question we're asking. If we perform that work, the asbestos abatement, are we gonna have to continue maintaining that building for the 10 years at that point.
From my understanding, it sounds like we were okay to sell it as long as we use that building or that funds for City Hall. We don't know about a lease yet, but at least either going to purchasing a new building or building one. Was that correct?
I think the council's concern is that is the question that we're not 100% sure of. I'm sure we're all interpreting the same language in different ways. I think speaking for the few conversations we've had with the council, is that old City Hall, the asbestos abatement project, is that going to be a building we want to hang on to for 10 years, or do we want to see other options? And if we get into the asbestos abatement, are we going to have to maintain that building for that 10-year period? And I think that's the answer that we're not 100% sure of right now.
I understand. I misunderstood it. I thought earlier we said that we would get the funds if we used it for City Hall. We just didn't know about a new building or got it.
Got it.
You could always lease it. I would maintain the ownership. Lease it to someone else, although our leasing isn't going so well in town right now. A lot of commercial space.
Well, and with so much growth, respectfully, Mayor, in the city, I don't know that, and so many projects the staff is already working on, I don't know that we want to take on the business of being landlords. Right.
So is it safe to say as a council, we're asking two questions here, confirmation on the 10-year. And number two, me personally, I would like to see other options. They could be concepts that were drawn on a napkin. I don't care. Just other feasible options for a city hall and a public works facility that are appropriate to the growth we're going to be facing.
I'm supportive of that. Right now, I just don't understand I don't have that clear vision of that.
I've always been one where you outgrow something, you get rid of it, move on, buy what you need and what you foresee in the future you're gonna need. That's how I wound up with a minivan. But I digress. But yeah, you just get rid of your sports car and you get rid of the smaller building that's not gonna be suitable in 20 years. I mean, we've already seen that it's not appropriate for us now. We're not gonna be able to move back in and have it be big enough for what we need. So move on.
And that building is kind of landlocked.
Yes, there's
That's
not room for growth.
my concern, is that building is landlocked.
Mhm.
We're not going to be able to go up. We're not going to be able to dig down. We can't move on any side. So is that space something we want to sink money into and not have that money later for another project?
That's kind of what I think. I agree.
Well, in order to get the costs, we need to do this part of it at any rate, and so that we can get the total cost. And then it seems like we could get an architect to, maybe Debbie Tate can draw up a new city hall that's big enough. And see what the cost would be for that.
Well, we do have what Arculus did.
Yeah, but like I
About
said,
8
that
years ago.
was 2023. I mean,
Right.
2003.
Right, the cost estimate may not be good, but it does have a layout of the
Yeah,
building.
but I'm saying that layout isn't big enough
Oh, okay,
as it is now.
okay.
But if we put that on property that we can expand on, it's like Cadillac. When Cadillac was originally built, they built it 4 floors with the possibility of expansion up to 16. So they just put another 10 on, but they could still go up. That's looking into the future of a growing city. Can we put a city hall that is at the time, big enough for our use. But we have the land to where we can expand onto that if we need to. And I think that kind of goes into your,
Mhm.
Um,
I'm
Yeah.
also, another thought too, another thought that's occurred to me is the fact that we've already paid for an architecture design and we didn't do anything with it. And that's kind of concerning that we're gonna spend more money. And I don't like the angry emails. I'm, I would, it would be very upsetting to me to see money keep getting spent on the same thing, but then nothing comes of it.
And I guess maybe from further the comments of my fellow council people, seeing more options and understanding more stuff, while we need to spend some money to get there, is the sequencing for the ask and prioritization of council in line with, the work that you're outlining, Alan, or is there a different way to accomplish it? Like, no one's saying don't move forward with, I don't think anyone's saying looking at the old city hall building, but it seems like
Right.
there's some pieces we need to do in parallel. So do we really need to spend as the next best step all 39,000 right away, or is there a scope modification to take it in steps to get to where we need to be?
Yeah, I think, I guess the task order that we have in front of you guys is the abatement part. So probably what we need to do is sit down with the architect and talk about, so at least what I'm seeing now is you're asking about what's it gonna cost to do some kind of remodel to the old city hall, and what's the cost of a new city hall? Is that what so you're looking at getting cost estimates for both and being able to compare options? Is that fair to say?
Hey,
what
Alan.
you're asking?
I just want to verify, that would mean that the grant money that we were going to use the 39,000 for, we would not be able to use that. Is that correct?
We wouldn't be using it for our task order at this time, no. So we'd almost have to do that. And then provide the council with the numbers, and then they can determine how they want to proceed. And that would determine if they want to work towards the abatement and that grant. That's the way I see everything unfolding here. I don't know what.
Mhm.
Because I don't think you can say, yeah, we're gonna take the abatement grant and do this cost estimate, and then you get to the point and say,
right,
oh, no, we don't want to do it, but we want to get reimbursed for
Mhm.
whatever money from that. I don't think that would qualify.
Right.
Yeah, that was the point I was trying to make. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
kind of at an impasse on this subject.
Well, we don't have enough information to make a decision
Either
right
way.
now.
Right.
And, we got some estimates for what you could get for the building. Now we need to know the bottom line on this one. And meanwhile, you can investigate the costs of what it would take to modify the 2003 design to have everybody together. But I do know one thing, that unless we remediate that, it's going to be really hard to sell.
Unless the person who buys it, a potential person who buys it just wants to tear the building down.
I don't know.
Mediation still has to occur even if the building is demolished.
We lost Josh on Zoom. So we're back at having a lot of questions and not 100% sure of answers.
Do we have to do a full remediation of the asbestos, or, because I know we talked about doing a full and a partial?
Right, and what we were kind of looking at is doing the partial.
Okay.
And so some of the tile, you can just lay flooring right over the
Right.
top of it, not have to worry about it at that point.
That tile still has to be what's called encapsulated, so that if you do
Mhm.
lay like glued flooring on top, it doesn't pull up and damage the old asbestos tile that's under it.
Mhm.
The risk is, and the reason we were looking at going this direction, encapsulating the lower the basement level, because don't see a lot of penetrations going through that floor. Aren't going to be drilling holes through that floor to run wire or pipe or anything. It's concrete. Where the upper level, you do have that a high potential of that. Anytime Public Works needs to run a Cat 5 wire for somebody to run a phone line, or anybody needs to do anything, if there's asbestos tile there, it has to be dealt with appropriately before you start drilling the floor. So the thought process was encapsulate the lower level, and remediate and remove the asbestos from the upper level so that it's a workable, safe building. But the encapsulation basically seals it in place so that there is no airborne asbestos and no risk.
Yeah.
And then there's air quality testing done after that, just to verify that everything is good. If though you looked at demolishing the building, which I had done that at my previous employment, then the asbestos does have to be removed prior to demolishing the building through an approved asbestos remediation company. So you're still looking at that cost if somebody were looking to demolish it. Someone could buy it and say they just want to encapsulate all of it, and that cost would be much less significant than doing some removal. But again, that would be up to their discretion at that time. But obviously, it has to be disclosed at the sale that there's
Right.
no asbestos in the building.
How much of a difference in price would it make to have it be sold as is, as opposed to us doing the work to remove asbestos?
As far as I'm aware, that's
Okay.
not something that we've investigated. Value of the building, appraised value. I think that's something that would need to be looked into.
Well, I did ask the people that gave the offer. I said, as is. And that's with the asbestos. And that's when we got 125,000. And another guy did the asbestos. He did it in Kennewick using those comparables. But the first estimate was done with comparables from all over the region.
So the person that said the 125, was he a realtor or was he
Yes,
just
they were.
someone? Okay,
We're both realtors, yeah,
okay.
commercial realtors.
That seems like a low bid. Low amount to me. How long ago was that?
I'm sorry,
How long ago was that?
this last year,
Last year.
yeah.
Yeah, I believe the full cost of full remediation, pulling all the asbestos out was, I believe, 134,000. And the doing the upper floor and encapsulation on the bottom was about 70,000. So if somebody's going in looking to do that, those are the costs they would incur.
How many? Sorry, I'm asking a lot of questions and this may be a weird one. How many square feet is the city hall building?
4,000.
4,000.
I guess my comment would be, it just sounds like we are kind of at an impasse, and I think there is a request for a bit more sequencing and information. And it sounds like we'll definitely need to spend some money getting things done. But if we can work towards a plan that supports a longer term vision or possible plans, and make sure we're being fiscally responsible with taxpayer money, we could maybe work to pick up speed.
For clarification
Yes,
regarding
George.
the existing grant, then would council like to continue to wait on accepting or not accepting the grant from Department of Commerce until we have more information regarding the payback of funds if the building were sold, or another direction council would like to go regarding Department of Commerce?
I see Jessica's here. George had his hand raised.
Sorry.
Hi, for those online, I'm George Kress.
Can you come up and speak into the mic, please?
Good evening, council members. One factor that may want to consider, if that property was up for sale and went back on the tax roll, how much would you be able to get in property taxes, taxes, that sort of thing? Because that is money that can come back on the tax roll back to the city too, if you decided to sell it. Because it's, very costly with the asbestos abatement, and somebody who buys it's going to have to do that too. So the price for that property might be low.
Yeah, the prices we got were quite low. Yeah.
But you will get a return if that property was to be either rebuilt or a new building to go in there, or reused. You will get property taxes back. So that is another revenue source for buying another building, or
All right.
I just want to point that out.
Thank you. And Josh, you said though that in order for us to sell it, we'd have to do this remediation anyway.
We lost Josh.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think that was Nathan that was.
Nathan said that.
Yeah.
I had stated that if somebody wanted to demolish the building, they would have to do remediation. But to sell it, no, you can sell it as is. Obviously, you won't sell it for as much if it's containing asbestos as if it were not. But again, you have to weigh the cost and the benefit, and what is the best option there.
So again, Nathan was asking, does the council want to kind of hold off on moving forward with the commerce grant? And then I guess at this point, do you want I guess another task order to evaluate the options? And we would work with Tate Architecture, and she would probably have the bulk of the work on something like that, but
I mean, Alan, do you think that the cost would be significantly less than $39,000?
oh yeah, and and that's what I would Nathan and I would sit down and we'd sit down with the architect and yeah, kind of go through numbers and hours spent on something like that and come back with a task order. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be, $39,000 for sure. Kind of shooting from the hip, I'm thinking like, maybe 10,000.
The 39,000 for the task order for the Department of Commerce grant, a lot of that was just managing the grant. They were asked for a lot of documentation up front. There was a bid packet to be developed and just ensuring the project was done and obtaining reimbursements and closeouts. There were a lot of administrative costs for that 39,000. So in concurrence with Alan to provide some options and some possible floor plans would be significantly less.
I think I'd be supportive of moving down that direction. I'd also request the administration to, if there's a bunch of administrative costs with the resources that we have, what tasks will the city staff be able to pick up to when you come back to us so we can understand that from a prioritization perspective too, please.
What task would they be able to take on?
If they're
terms of-
administrative, yeah, what administrative
grant.
tasks?
Oh.
So if I'm hearing it right, could we prepare a task order then for review at the next council meeting of reviewing the options? Hold off on the existing task order
Correct.
and that way then you can evaluate the cost of remodel, cost of new city hall. And
That is correct.
okay.
I kind of would like to see in writing from at least two realtors, probably what the value, they would appraise the value at, or just what they would roughly start it off at with the asbestos removed and with it being sold as is. That kind of gives us an idea as to a little bit more what we would get out of it, I think. I was looking at the cost to build a commercial building. These numbers are from December 2022. And it's anywhere from $80 per square foot to $375 per square foot. And so I was crunching the numbers and I was like, well, that's a wide
Right,
range
yeah.
right there. And neither one of them are
Right.
work out to be 125,000.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of curious.
Yep. Okay, well, see, next council meeting's in 8 days. So we will try to put together a cost estimate in the next 2 days. All right,
Okay, thank you.
yep.
So then I guess we're ready to move on then to set City of Benton City goals and project priorities. Do we have someone that's leading this? Alan, are you leading this?
Well, I guess we weren't really thinking we were. And to be honest, we kind of were under the impression that the meeting in August was the last special meeting or workshop. And I guess we've been really focused on all the ARPA projects and all the other funding and what we're doing there. So I think right now, I kind of feel like there's a blank slate for the council and the mayor to talk about long-term projects and kind of planning and where they would like to see things being considered for future projects. I know a couple of things that have been in the works are the splash pad that's been kicked around. We have the Riverfront Park development. I kind of think we're on track and know where that's going for an RCO grant application next year. But there are other things, development of I-82. I know we have the architects working on that, but I think, you know, if council is starting to formulate some ideas and mayor too, kind of where you see that headed and what you want to do there. There are some other large scale public works projects. The Legion Heights area is in a big need of redoing water lines through there. We have some steel lines. We have a bunch of water lines that are on the back of lots, you know, in the back, in the middle of the block. And a lot of that area, I don't know how often they have leaks up there, but it's fairly regular. It's becoming more regular. And there's some areas we have no as-built plans of the area. So sometimes where it shows something and you go to dig, it's not there. Sometimes you start digging and you find something. Case in point, somebody's putting in a fire hydrant right next to the park. Was going in to dig and we told them, well, let's put it on this side of the water line. He starts digging over and we find the fill line for the reservoir from well 3 goes, you know, parallel to that water line, and on the maps show it going some other direction. So I mean, some of those things we run into fairly often out there. But I mean, those are some of the things, you know, that I see. I know we had been on a plan to take sections of the sewer main, the old concrete line, and reline it with PVC inside of it. But I know, you know, some lift station projects came up that the city used their own funds for on a number of them. So that kind of delayed that, but that's something else that we'd be looking at, you know, considering to put back into the regular maintenance of the sewer. And there's, you know, other parks that you guys are looking at developing. So I guess, you it'd be what the council wants to see, what you guys envision, for projects for the city.
Do we have a list of all the projects that you're doing? We could make some copies of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the engineer's report. There's a few others on there that we probably should get to you guys. And then, it'd be looking at the 6-year transportation plan, looking at the comprehensive plan where we talk about the water and sewer projects, long-term projects. So I guess with that, we'd just pull all those together as a starting point, and then you guys could go through the lists and, add to it, subtract to it, whatever you guys would like to see.
I might be going on all in, but I would definitely think that making sure our sewer system is not gonna break
Right.
would be a major priority.
Right.
As well as the water lines, finding where those lines are as opposed to where we think they are. I would think would be extremely important because I see a lot of people complaining about why is the water off? Why
Right.
and as a citizen that, I would hate to have the sewer be an issue at my house.
Right.
Or in front of my house or in my yard. The splash pad, I think is a brilliant idea. Has location ever been discussed as to where to put it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we have a location.
Okay.
Yeah, Blacktop Park is one that's been applied for.
Okay,
And now that, at the time, we didn't have the park, but now the city owns the land there. And so that will be a plus for it.
I also am a firm believer in not eating an elephant all at one time, do it piece by piece. So we have a lot of parks that are in the process.
Mhm.
So with the exception of maybe getting the splash pad finished because we don't have anything like that out here.
Yeah.
The closest splash pad, you have to go over by Badger Mountain or that
Henderson,
area.
yeah.
Yes. And those are always very popular in the summer.
Yeah, right.
And so I foresee that as being a good, very beneficial addition to the city.
This is Sarah. I would also add, I think there's a lot of projects that are in flight, and while the primary role of the city is to keep the clean water clean and the dirty water dirty and safe for everyone, I think we also have some safety projects that are in flight. And as we've seen with some of the progress, for chip seal and crosswalks and everything else, things are not only costing more money, but taking more time. I'd really encourage and like to see us work on completing some projects. And it seems like we're close, but there's still a lot in flight to keep us busy. And over the next 12 months, it would seem to me.
Okay, so do you guys want us to put together kind of a list of the different, the water, sewer, parks, streets? And then give that to you guys as a list. I think we have another this is a workshop in October that we're looking at what we're considering applying for grants. Is that what? 27th,
Benton City planning on the 17th at 6:00
17th, okay.
before the city council meeting.
Okay, well, we'll put together a list and we'll send it out to everybody. That way you'll have it and can start looking at it. And then you guys can kind of tell us where you want to go from there at that point. And I guess question I have, are we gonna continue these meetings or is this like?
That was, that was.
Oh, that was,
H4.
okay, yeah,
Yep.
sorry, I jumped again, sorry. Okay, all right, so then we'll put that list together and get it to everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, there's a item here, other items from the mayor and council for discussion.
Are you asking me? This is Margaret. Are you asking me about that?
I don't know what's on here.
I put that on there because that would be like the item Bill is talking about. That would be added, an added item.
Okay, I'm sorry, I missed that. So, okay, is that item 4 that you're talking about?
Yeah, so anybody have anything, council members or mayor, to present on 3? Cool. We can move on to 4. My question is, and Alan kind of touched on it a little bit, are we in a need to continue these third
Workshops.
scheduled workshops, or are we at a point where we can do like we're doing next month and do it an hour before the meeting? I know this interferes with other committee meetings I have, and I know the attorney sometimes has to be in another city and stuff like that, so. Kind of want to get a feel from the rest of the council if we need to continue these Monday meetings every second week, or if we could stop holding these meetings and go to like a planning meeting an hour before.
I'm supportive of not scheduling more of these meetings.
How about you, Jess?
No, I'm also in favor of, I think if something comes up, maybe in the future where we need to take a little extra time, we can always do it before our city council meeting or something like that. So yeah, I'm in favor of doing something different.
I think we're at a place where we have an understanding and then we could just add on when need be.
Yeah.
As needs arise.
So then the October 17th is still on, is that
Correct.
correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
And because we voted in to do this, do we need to vote out or just discontinue?
No, I think that this, it looks like this was noticed as a special meeting and the other items for discussion was on here.
This is the last one I have on my calendar. I don't think we meant for these to continue forever.
No, we had only gone to September scheduling them and then we were gonna reevaluate.
Reevaluate.
Yes. Now, we do have one scheduled, a budget meeting on the 23rd, which is a Monday night, but that's separate. We did that separate. When we did the planning meeting on the 17th.
May I suggest, since you don't have anything scheduled, you don't take any action, just schedule it if you need to.
Yeah.
Mary, no
Sounds good to me.
workshop next month,
Unless called.
right?
Okay. So then we have some items for approval. Are we ready to move on? The first one is resolution 2023-25, local parks maintenance program. And Megan, I see that you're on. Excuse me. Are you
Bless you.
planning to lead this discussion or anything?
I'm happy to do whatever you would prefer, Madam Mayor. I wanted to be here to be available if I'm needed, but I'm also happy to let someone else pilot if you would prefer.
Okay. I think we'll just move forward with the resolution then, unless someone has any questions for Megan.
So this resolution is for authorizing the mayor to submit the application for the RCO maintenance grant. We would
To
have.
be the authorized signature.
Yep.
Yeah. So this isn't a committal to the grant itself, so you could still accept or reject it when it came in. But this is authorizing the mayor to say, yes, we're applying for this, and the resolution will be included in the application as a required component.
And this is the one that's covering the tennis courts, is that correct?
Yes, the tennis courts, the drainage, the resurfacing, and the fence repair. This grant will be just shy of $100,000, and all of that will go towards the tennis court rehabilitation.
Any further discussion? A motion to approve resolution 2023-25, a resolution for the city of Benton City, Washington, authorizing the mayor to sign the Benton City Local Parks Maintenance Program Application Grant.
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Wadsworth, aye.
Funk eye.
Reed, aye.
Alcazar, I.
Okay, motion carries.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Okay, I see there's no executive session. Are there any general council comments? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I second.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, all right, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Reed, aye.
Alcazar, I.
Yeah, so
Hmm,
Sarah's not up there anymore.
No.
Okay, so Sarah hung up on us. Okay, and so did Jessica vote?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so motion carries. Good night, everyone. Thank you for attending.
Good night. Sorry, I disconnected there.
Okay.
Night, you all. Thank you.